Do you know who your father is? You probably do. You have a name, maybe a face, maybe a surname you carry through your whole life. But here's the uncomfortable question this whole video is built around. For most of human history, that certainty simply did not exist. Fatherhood, the version you take for granted, is not ancient. It is one of the newest ideas our species ever had. And before we invented it, that absence didn't make us gentler. It made us deadlier. Let's be precise about what the problem actually was. A mother is never in doubt. She carries the child, she gives birth. The biological link is visible and undeniable. But a father? A father is an inference, a guess. For hundreds of thousands of years, no human being on Earth could look at an infant and prove with certainty that it was his. There were no tests. There was no way to trace a pregnancy back to a single night. And in a species where mating was rarely exclusive, that uncertainty wasn't a rare tragedy. It was the default condition of being a man. Now watch what that uncertainty does to a body. Look at our closest relatives. Chimpanzees live in groups where females mate with many males, and no male has any idea which infants are his. The result is written into their anatomy. Male chimps have enormous testes relative to their body size, because the real competition doesn't happen through bonding or protection. It happens through sheer volume of sperm, inside the female, after the fact. There is no fatherhood in a chimp troop. There is only the biological arms race that fills the vacuum where fatherhood should be. And here's the part nobody tells you. Human males sit in a strange middle place on that chart. Not the extreme of the chimp, not the calm certainty of the gorilla, but somewhere restless in between. Our bodies still carry the evidence of a deep past where paternity was contested, where multiple men could plausibly be the father of the same child, and where every male had a hidden incentive to compete rather than provide. Because why would you spend years feeding, defending, and dying for a child that might not be yours? Evolution's brutal answer, for a very long time, was that you wouldn't. But without guaranteed fatherhood, male energy went somewhere else. It went into competition, into dominance, into the endless, dangerous work of controlling access to females and driving off rivals. Anthropologists studying the deep past find the fingerprints everywhere. Skeletons of ancient men show far higher rates of violent injury than women. Male reproductive success was wildly unequal, a few men fathering many children while others fathered none. This is the world uncertainty built. A world where the surest way to pass on your genes was not to be a good father, but to be a dangerous man. And we know this wasn't just prehistory because pockets of it survived into recorded observation. In parts of the Amazon, researchers like Stephen Beckerman documented societies that believed a child could have several fathers at once. Every man who slept with a woman during her pregnancy was considered to share in creating the baby. It's called Partible paternity, and it sounds strange until you realize the logic. In a world without certainty, spreading fatherhood across several men meant several men had reason to feed that child. Uncertainty wasn't a bug they were hiding. It was a system they were working with. Other cultures went further and severed the link entirely. On the Trobriand Islands, early ethnographers found people who didn't connect sex with pregnancy at all. Children came from ancestral spirits, not from a specific man's contribution. And in countless societies, the most important man in a child's life wasn't the father, whoever that was, but the mother's brother. Because think about it. You can never be sure your children are yours. But your sister's children? They absolutely share your blood. The uncle became the reliable investor in a world where fatherhood couldn't be trusted. That was the problem. Laid out in full. No certainty, no investment, and all that unspent male energy pouring into rivalry and violence instead. Now here's the fix, and it changed everything about what our species became. Somewhere along the line, humans stumbled onto a trade. The pair bond. A man and a woman staying together, not perfectly, not always, but long enough and closely enough that a man could be reasonably confident the child was his. And the moment that confidence appeared, something unprecedented in the animal world became possible. Fathers who actually stayed. This is genuinely rare. Among the thousands of mammal species, fewer than 1 in 20 show real paternal care. Male humans provisioning their children, teaching them, defending them for years, is almost freakish in evolutionary terms. And it only worked because we lowered the uncertainty. Concealed ovulation, long-term bonds, jealousy. The whole tangled architecture of human mating quietly solved the paternity problem just enough to make investment worth the gamble. And once fathers invested, children survived longer, learned more, and carried more knowledge forward. Fatherhood didn't just soften us. it supercharged us. But notice the trade we made. To gain the father who stays, we invented the possibility of betrayal, suspicion, mate guarding, the obsession with certainty that runs through so much of human law, marriage, and shame. The deadliness never fully left us. We just aimed it inward, at the fear of raising a child who wasn't ours. Fatherhood, in the end, is not a fact of nature. It is a fragile agreement our species made against its own biology. So the next time you say the word father, remember it's one of the youngest ideas you carry, and one of the most powerful. If you want to know how the oldest parts of you still shape the person you are today, this is exactly what we explore here at The First People. So subscribe and stay with us. And tell me in the comments what hidden piece of human history you want explained next. I read them, and the best ones become the next video.